Hello everyone, welcome to Court with Krissy. How do you turn a possible misdemeanor speeding ticket with fines into 2 felonies with jail time? Ask a SovCit. I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
People versus Kuhn, case number 235256. Mr. Kuhn, if you want to come up to the podium here, please. Mr. Thompson, can you hand Mr. Kuhn the uses the hearing?
Yes. Is that a good volume, or do you want me to turn it up?
Yeah. Are you able to hear me, Mr. Kuhn?
And now.
All right, good. Okay, so we're on the record. If I could have counsel put your hand.
Sierra Coke on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Honor. Jason Thompson on behalf of defendant welcome.
29 days. Mr. Thompson, were you able to go through the pre-sentence report with Mr. Kuhn?
I was, thank you.
Mr. Kuhn, did you have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, I know there's a lot of information there missing, but based on what is there, are there any corrections that need to be made?
Yeah, well, there's an addition, Your Honor.
Okay.
Under disabilities, Mr. Kuhn wanted the court to know he is under health. He has heart difficulties and is partially deaf. That leads to him being disabled by the Social Security Administration. He indicated that he off from the money just check. His heart is operating at lower capacity because of artery disease. So he's working at something like 10 to 20% of the normal heart capacity, and that affects his ability to work.
Mr. Haven, were you able to hear that?
Entirely, Your Honor. Something about heart conditions and partially deaf.
I got it, Judge.
Okay. Mr. McFarland indicated he was able to get that information. So I'll just ask if that be added under the health section of the pre-sentence report.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson, any other changes?
No, Your Honor.
Are there any challenges to the scoring of the guidelines?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Hope, do the people have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
No, Your Honor.
Any challenges to the scoring?
No.
Anything on behalf of the people for allocution today?
Your Honor, I find this case really frustrating because I think this could have ended in a ticket for something simple. And Mr. Kuhn has really just made it difficult for himself every step of the way. He had a plea offer to a misdemeanor. Even after he got the situation, then we went to trial. He ended up with a felony. Now he has all these rights that he has lost because he's a felon. Now we're at sentencing. Probably we would have been looking at a recommendation of 30 days at the most with some probation, but he can't be on probation because he can't cooperate with anybody. So now the recommendation is 6 months in jail with no probation. And literally every step of the way has just been Mr. Kuhn's own personal difficulties that have caused these problems. This isn't the crime of the century. He would have just listened to the officers, he would have been fine. If he would have pulled over, he would have been fine. If he would have listened to some of the things his lawyer said, he probably would have been fine. But here we are today, and there really isn't a lot of options because of the situation he's put himself into with his choices. I guess the recommendation is appropriate given his inability to be on probation, and I'd ask the court to follow it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Your Honor, even assuming that that's all true, and I wasn't privy to earlier plea negotiations, but I certainly believe that's possible. Your Honor, even if all that's true, the court has to sentence Mr. Kuhn on what happened. And the court is very familiar with the facts. The court sat through the trial. The court is familiar with the facts. Nobody's here saying that nothing happened. Mr. Coon's already sat 29 days in jail. I think we're already within the range of reasonable outcomes and punishments to receive from this court. In addition, I know there was reluctance to undertake probation when he initially met with Mr. Haven. After that, I got appointed and I sat down with him and I explained to him what probation was, and that essentially it was voluntary. A defendant can refuse probation, and that can certainly affect what a court does from a sentencing perspective on the other elements of sentencing. He indicated to me that after talking about what probation is, asking me some very good questions, that he is open to probation. He's asking the court to consider probation in this case. I think it would be appropriate for the court to give him 30 days and probation. I think that's within the range of outcomes for somebody who late at night, getting pulled over at their own house, misunderstood the law. He's not a lawyer. He doesn't know the law. He thought he had a right to refuse that encounter. He's wrong. He's been paying the consequence. I mean, as much as Ms. Koch may be frustrated, or I may be frustrated, Mr. Coon's the one paying the consequence. He's the one sitting in the jail cell. He's the one away from his home. He's the one who's lived, he's been deprived. And so ultimately it falls on the court not to, I don't think this is about punishing decisions he made along the way of the case with him and his attorney, whatever may have happened with those decisions. I think this is the time for the court to look at what he did in the world on that night. He refused lawful commands from officers and decide what the appropriate sanction should be. Respectfully, Your Honor, I believe the amount of time he's been incarcerated plus a probation sentence would be within a reasonable range of sanctions for this behavior. So I'd ask the court to consider that. Thank you.
Mr. Coon, anything that you wanted to say today? Obviously, I am familiar with the facts of this case. I watched the videos. I presided over the trial, so I saw all the evidence that was presented. And I think Ms. Koch is correct. You turned what would have been at most a speeding ticket into 2 felony convictions. Not only that, but you turned it into a physical altercation with the officers. They clearly explained to you what the law was that night, that there's a law that says upon request by a police officer, you have to turn over your license, registration, and proof of insurance. For the life of me, I can't understand why you didn't just do that. They explained to you what the law was. What's that?
I thought they were attacking.
They were talking to you for quite a period of time, trying to
I thought they were
explain.
attacking me, trying to.
I mean, you can say you thought they were attacking you, but I saw the video. Nobody was attacking. They were asking you for your license, registration, and proof of insurance, which you're legally required to give them. And they told you that. They explained that to you multiple times. They told you that was the law. You decided for whatever reason that the law doesn't apply to you. They gave you very clear indications of what was going to happen. You didn't turn it over to them. And you made the choice at that time to ignore what they were saying, to refuse to provide them something that you're legally required, that we all are, not just you, everybody. I don't know why you think that you're special and you don't, the law doesn't apply to you when it applies to the rest of us. But you made the choice to disregard their lawful commands. And then when they told you we're going to place you under arrest, you still didn't provide it. And then you caused a physical altercation where you could have been injured or they could have been injured. All of it just completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. You just followed the law. And for whatever reason, you chose not to do that. I don't think probation is appropriate. I don't think that's a good option for you. I think that's going to wind up getting you into more trouble, probably, than it would do any help. I think a straight jail sentence is appropriate. The guidelines in this case call for a sentence of up to 11 months. I don't think that's called for based on your lack of any prior criminal history, based on the fact that there were no injuries that arose out of this incident. I do think a jail sentence in the low end of the guidelines of 90 days is appropriate. I think it provides a degree of punishment for you. I hope it reinforces to you that in this country, we're all subject to the laws. Nobody's special, nobody's above the law. And that if you refuse to obey the law, even after it's explained to you, there's a consequence to that. So the court is going to sentence you to 90 days in the Crawford County Jail. You do have credit for 29 days served. The court is going to order that you pay a crime victim's assessment of $130, court costs of $325, attorney fees of $350, DNA testing fee of $60, and $186 state costs, and that's for counts 1 and 2. For count 3, 30 days in the Crawford County Jail with credit for 29 days served. You have the ability to seek an appeal of the sentence. We're going to provide you with some papers that explain to you how to request an appeal, as well as how to ask for a court-appointed lawyer to help you with any appeal. Mr. Thompson can provide that to Mr.
Yes, so Mr. Kuna, these are 4 copies of your appeal paper. You don't have to file those today, but you have to file them within 14 days. If you fill this out, you can be appointed an attorney and have your appeal filed. You initial the top copy, and that goes in the court file to indicate you've received it. It's not the same as filing an appeal. You can take these back to your cell and fill them out if you want to. If you want to file an appeal, you fill these out and they will be mailed to that address. Go ahead and initial there to indicate you received it. Copies are yours if you want to file that appeal. Okay.
That's all for this hearing today. Court's final hearings at 3:45.